From a little house on a big lot in the city of Los Angeles is where my story begins. My mother, a young teenager who had me in her 12th grade year and never graduated, had a goal to find a home in an area where loud noises and screams did not mean bullets and fear. When I turned 4, my mother married and welcomed their new baby boy shortly after. And from there, my family moved from South Los Angeles to the city of Bell Gardens. We stayed there for a few years, and then we went off to the city of Commerce for another few years. I attended the Montebello School District for my entire K-12 education. But between those years, my mother endured the loss of an infant shortly after birth, and a few years later had my little sister. Renting was not feasible to my mother's goal of purchasing a home, so we packed up and went back to South Los Angeles. She still commuted us daily to our schools within the Montebello School District. She attended the schools in South LA as a child, so she was very adamant that her own children not have the same experiences that she did. I was only aware of the dangers outside the gates of my LA home. I really have no knowledge of the hardships and limitations she experienced in the neighboring school systems. So I took her at her word and woke up every morning by 5 a.m., ready for the hour commute to and from Bell Gardens. During my teenage years, my stepdad and I finally reached the boiling point of two very strong-headed individuals, and we had our final shouting and crying match. I left my family's home at the age of 17 and began my own mapping journey. Still feeling like a child in a big world and determined to finish high school, I stuck to areas I was familiar with and moved to Downey with my uncles and cousins. I worked nights and commuted by bus to finish high school in Bell Gardens. At this point in my life, I was heavily invested in a 3-year relationship with a boy from South LA. After I turned 18, my parents were able to purchase the home of their dreams in the city of Whittier and left my grandparents' back house in South LA. I was able to patch things up with my parents and bit my tongue whenever my stepdad and I interacted. So I moved to Whittier with them in a beautiful area where my siblings loved their new school district. Our family finally felt like we were able to progress in our life's journey and find a space of our own, just far enough from the chaos we came from, and feel safe to go for walks or runs in our neighborhood with minimal fears. Over the next 2 years, I moved into a Whittier apartment with a female roommate, then back to Downey to save money, live, and connect with my biological father. At the age of 20, during my 3rd semester at Los Angeles Community College, I found out I was pregnant. Still on a rocky relationship with my parents and a complicated relationship with my then boyfriend, soon to be baby daddy, I was forced to quit college, work full-time, and find a suitable place to rent. So there I go, back to South LA to rent the luckily vacant at the time grandparents' back house. I lived there for about 2 years while I raised my daughter as a single mother and completed trade school to become a paralegal. As life would have it, my mother and stepdad separated almost simultaneously when I finished school, and I needed to resume work full-time. So I moved back to Whittier with my mom and 2 siblings to help her with her bills while she helped me with my daughter. Because of this, I was able to register my daughter to attend the Whittier School District. Still on my own journey at the age of 26, now to include my daughter, I decided to take the final leap and live with her father so we can be a family of our own. I did not want to leave Whittier, but my daughter's father couldn't leave his comfort zone and convinced me to go back in time. So there we go, back to South LA to rent my grandparents' back house, hoping to make something of our relationship. Needless to say, our personal comforts and life journeys did not coincide, and we split up after a year of living together. His life goals, friends, drugs, and female companionships were not what I had in mind when I pictured a happy family environment. Back to Whittier we go, at my age of 27. At this point, my parents reconciled, but on rocky grounds. My stepdad, through the whole separation ordeal, learned some humility and appreciation. As adults, he and I were able to be better friends and created a stable relationship finally. Still sticking close to my comfort zone, I applied to the Montebello School District and landed an office job as a secretary at an elementary school. This is where I feel my life journey finally found a promising rainbow. I met my future husband at this job. It took us 1 year as friends to finally date, 3 months to become steady, and 6 months to move in together. He was on his own academic path and wanted to finish his AA degree at Cerritos Community College. We moved in together to the city of Norwalk so he can finish his AA, and I was closer to work at the school in Bell Gardens. I worked full-time and provided most of the finances for our home and lives, while my now fiance finished his bachelor's degree at CSUF. During his master's program, we married and welcomed our son a year later. Life was happening fast, and we did not want to slow down. At my age of 33, we purchased our first home in the city of Bellflower, and I was able to go back to college part-time. I was determined to at least get my AA degree. After a short 3 years in Bellflower, my husband, armed with his master's degree and years of adjuncting at 6 colleges, including CSUF, landed a full-time tenure-track position in Orange County. During this time, we welcomed our daughter, and I felt the move to Orange County would allow us to provide better services for our son. He was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3 and needed speech therapy and a strong social environment. Feeling nervous to pass the county line into an area where demographically we felt we will be the minority and the stress of navigating streets we've never experienced, we ultimately made the decision to move to Anaheim Hills and be within minutes to my husband's job. We've always commuted to nicely funded school systems and higher paying jobs. This was finally our opportunity to use our own address when we registered for highly rated schools and services. And I immediately fell in love with the open streets, minimal traffic, beautiful hills, and hiking trails. But still, I had to sacrifice a daily 2-hour commute to live in Orange County and continue working in Bell Gardens at a job I honestly loved. I was able to provide additional resources and education to students in an underprivileged area. So I didn't want to leave the opportunity to work with students I saw myself in as a child. But within 3 months after moving to Anaheim Hills, COVID took hold of the world, and my husband and I had to work from home. During the COVID years, I completed my AA from Cerritos Community College, and shortly after received the news of a happy surprise, my 4th pregnancy. With the fear of going back in person while having a high-risk pregnancy, my husband and I decided for me to take an unpaid sabbatical leave so I can attend full-time at CSUF, and I achieved my BA while also keeping myself and newborn son safe. I cried when I submitted my resignation letter and many times after. I never got to say goodbye to the students I became so close to, nor the staff I loved working with and drinking coffee over cheese man in the mornings. On full academic speed and with the newfound love for the field of anthropology, I received my undergraduate BA degree and was accepted to CSUF's anthropology master's program. My husband fulfilled one of his own goals and now works part-time as a real estate agent to help first-time home buyers navigate their own mapping journey into a forever home. His successful financial endeavors and our sacrifices along the way allowed our personal goals to gain traction and become realized. With a portion of my husband's real estate proceeds, we now have a scholarship fund at Santiago Community College dedicated for students working hard through communication and speech debates. Our goal is to continue helping students in need to carve out their own borderless paths and to live a life that they find peace in. My personal goal is to create another scholarship fund for anthropology students who participate in public outreach programs that may assist underprivileged students in their own communities. A pay it forward kind of thing. I am currently working on a project that can accomplish that public outreach idea in the hopes to spark an interest and realization. From the humble beginnings of living minimally in the dense city of South LA, South Los Angeles as a child, I heard the determination of my mother's voice to find a forever home in a place that brings us peace of mind and opportunity. Most of my life, I was stuck to areas most familiar in space and demographics. As an adult, and with the help of my spirited husband, we crossed the county borders and are still grappling with the imposter syndrome society implicitly placed in our minds. My mother's goal became the goal for my own family. I know our mapping journey doesn't end here, and because I have already placed the desire to retire in a place or a country where the simple life is valued more than work and money, we travel a lot and we explore many new places with my now family of 6 in the hopes to create a more confident, safe mapping journey of their own.